Hello students, this is the third part of my video where I was teaching literature to the students of standard 8. The chapter was lesson number 7, the prize poem. So in this video I'll continue with the same chapter. This is page number 98. So as in the chapter we had seen that the students of a particular class had to write a poem and they were trying to write it. Okay, now when Evans came into Morrison's room, he showed the paper to him, this. Okay, and in that particular paper also the same 4 lines were written. Now that's rippling as far as it goes, said Morrison. So Morrison told, yes, this is in fact good, couldn't be better. You will find some apples in that box, better take a few. But look here, with sudden suspicion, don't believe you made all this up yourself, did you? Now Morrison is asking to his friend Evans, I don't think you have written this by yourself. From where did you get it? Evans finished selecting his apples before venturing on a reply. First he took his apples and then he said, then he blushed as much as a member of the junior school is capable of blushing. Okay, so because he was junior to him, so he thought of saying something. Well, he said, I didn't write exactly. You see, you only told me to get the tags. You didn't say how. But how did you get hold of this? Whose is it? Do you know, I found it in the field between the pavilion and the infirmary. So he said that I was going from there and I found it there, okay, in the field between the pavilion in the infirmary. So that is the same paper, okay. Another paper was also there, no, flew out from the hospital window. So that paper also had the same lines written on it. Oh, well, it doesn't matter much. They are just what I wanted, which is the great thing. Thanks, shut the door, will you? So he said, how you got that hardly matters, because this is good and this will work out. Okay, I will just use it. Okay, oh well, it doesn't matter how much, they are just what I wanted, which is the great thing. Thanks, shut the door, will you? Whereupon Evans retired, the richer by many apples, and Morrison resumed his siesta at the point where he had left off. So he went out. Got that poem done yet? Said Smith to Reynolds. Okay, now see, in the hospital, what we had seen, Reynolds was in the hospital. He was only writing the poems, no. Then Smith again went to him and then he asked him, did you write the poem? Pouring out a cup of tea for the invalid on the following Sunday. Okay, so that was a sick person who was in the hospital, Reynolds. Now only the first verse, I am afraid. Look here, you aren't keen on getting the prize. Why not send it only the one verse? He said, this one verse I have written, you take this only. That is fair. It makes a fairly decent poem. Think the old one will pass it. Old one here means the principal. Okay, they called him old one. He'll have to. There's nothing in the rule about length. Here it is if you want it. So nothing has been mentioned about the length of the poem. So that is okay. You can take it. Thanks. I suppose it will be all right. So long I must be off. The headmaster, known to the world as the Reverend Arthur James Percival, M.A., and to the school as the Old Un, was sitting at breakfast, stirring his coffee with a look of marked perplexity upon his face. Okay, so some confusion was there on his face. His principal was sitting and then a dignified face. Okay, upon his dignified face he had some confusion. This was not caused by the coffee, which was excellent, but by a letter which he held in his left hand. So he was holding a letter in his hand. Okay, and that was the cause of the confusion. My dear, said he suddenly. Mrs. Percival started violently. She had been sketching out in her mind a little dinner and wondering whether the cook would be equal to it. Yes, he said, my dear, this is a very extraordinary communication. Exceedingly so. Yes, very. Who is it from? So she's asking, this letter is from whom? Mr. Percival shuddered. He was a purist in speech. Okay, he believed in traditional rules. Okay, he insisted always in traditional rules. From whom, you should say. So you should say, you should tell me from whom it has come. It is from Mr. Wells, a great college friend of mine. So Mr. Wells is a great college friend of the principal. So he said, I submitted to him for examination the poem sent in for the sixth form prize. This is his letter. So he's telling that I had submitted all the poems written by the students of the sixth form to him. And see, this is the letter he has written back. So this is the letter. Dear Jimmy, the most taking part of the whole program was awarded by the three comedians whose efforts I enclose. You will notice that each begins with exactly the same four lines. There is a reckless daring about it which is simply fascinating. The rest of the letter are on different matters. James, how extraordinary. So he's telling that three comedians have written a poem, and I am enclosing it here. So you can just go through, see how fascinating it is, okay? And then he says, that's really extraordinary. And see, all the three are same. All the three letters, the first verse is same in all. Now for that purpose, did I summon you three boys? Now he called all the three boys. Okay, asked Mr. Percival of Smith, Montgomery and Smith, Montgomery and Morrison in his room after morning school that day. Okay, that day after morning school he called them. He generally began a painful interview with this question. The method had distinct advantages. If the criminal were of a nervous disposition, okay, so if the criminal was of a nature where the person gets easily frightened, okay, he would give himself away from upon the instant. In any case, it was likely to startle him. He was surprised. For what purpose? Repeated the headmaster, fixing Smith with a glittering eye. I'll tell you, continued Mr. Percival. It was because I desired information which none but you can supply. How come it that each of your composition for the poetry prize commences with the same four lines? The three poets looked at one another in speechless. So he asked, how all the four lines are same in all of your poem? Can you tell me? And each of them looked at each other. Yes, he resumed the three papers and compared them now. So he took out all the three papers and showed them. After the inspection was over, what explanation have you to offer, Smith? Are these your lines? So first he asked Smith. Then what he said, are you the author of this line? No, sir. Then he asked Montgomery, have you written this? No, sir. Very good. Then you, Morrison, have you written? Then you have been exceedingly badly treated. You can go, Morrison. So when he asked Smith and Montgomery that they have written, and others said we have not written, then he thought that Morrison must have written. Then he is telling him that we have treated you very badly. You can go. Then what he said? But sir. Then he said, but sir, well, Morrison, I didn't write them. He said that I also did not write them. Then they all came up with the story that they all have not written them. Okay, how Morrison and Montgomery got paper in the field. See, they are saying, I found them in a field on a piece of paper, sir. And then the other one also said, my friend Evans came and gave me. And did you, Smith? Then he asked Smith, did you write? So find this poem on the field. Then he said, no, sir. Then to what, sir? How you have written? I got Reynolds to do them for me. He said that this Reynolds has done for me. Reynolds, okay. Then Montgomery smoke. It was near the infirmary that I found the paper, and Reynolds is in there, okay. So I found this over there, and Reynolds is in the hospital. So did I, sir? Said Morrison. So Morrison is telling that, so I also found over there, so I have not written. Then am I to understand, Smith, that to gain the prize you resorted to such underhand means as this? So he is asking that you, for getting a prize, you wanted a junior friend of yours to write it for you. No, sir. See, this is very important. This is the message, what they are saying. No, sir, we agreed that there was no danger of my getting the prize. If I had got it, I should have told you everything. Reynolds will tell you that, sir. So he said that, no, sir, if I would have got the prize, I would have told the truth to you, because Reynolds would have told you. He had told me that he would tell you. Then what object had you in pursuing this deception? Then why do you did it? Well, sir, the rule says everyone must send in something and I can't write poetry at all. And Reynolds likes it, so I asked him to do it. So he said that everyone had to write, but I cannot write a poetry. And Reynolds was interested in poetry, so I told him to write. And Smith waited for the room to burst, but it did not burst. Okay, so and Smith was waiting that everybody would laugh at what he said. Okay, it was really humorous. No, far down in Mr. Parcival's system lurked a quiet sense of humor. So this was really humorous. He said that we are forced to write poetry. Then what else we could have done? We cannot write poetry. So he remembered the examiner's letter, and it dawned upon him that there are few crueler things than to make a prosaic person write poetry. Prosaic person a person who is interested in writing prose, a story. If you tell him to write a poetry, then it is really like a punishment for him. So you may go, he said, and the three went. Okay. And then what happened? And at the next board meeting, it was decided, mainly owing to the influence of an exceedingly eloquent speech from the headmaster. So the headmaster gave a very impressive speech, and then what he did, to alter the rules for the sixth form poetry prize. So hereafter the rules were changed so that from thence onward no one need compete unless he felt himself filled with the immortal fire. Okay, so hereafter this rule would not be made compulsory for all the students to write. Okay, but then only those would write who would have felt himself filled with the immortal fire, means the passion for poetry, the passion inside him. Okay, to write poetry, if he is filled up with it, then only he would write poetry. Okay, so this is the chapter. Okay, so I hope you all understood. So we cannot the message is that we cannot force a person to do something if he is not interested in it. Okay, if he does not like anything and we force somebody to do something, it is like a punishment. Okay, so this is the message given by P.G. Wodehouse. I hope you all have understood. So till then, goodbye.